All right, so for this next demonstration, we're going to talk about having a slower shutter speed. We want to show some motion blur in our image. So we're going to, instead of going really quickly like the last demonstration, we're going to go as slow as we can. Now remember our camera shake setting. If we go below 1/60, we might stand a chance of some camera shake. So you got to think creatively about how you can stabilize a camera so that it won't move. You could simply set it on something that isn't going to move, like over here. I could set it up on the ledge here and have it balanced up against that little post facing towards where I'd like it to. You can use books, you can use anything really. I'm actually going to make use of this. I've got a little phone tripod that I'm going to use to stabilize the camera so I can get a little bit more intentional about angling the image. But we'll switch over now to the camera view so that you can see how to make this happen. All right, so we're ready to set up our shot here. My goal is to try to show some movement while keeping the camera stable and having my daughter swing on the swings here. Now, if you're in a bright situation, you may not be able to go very slow. So a workaround for that is simply taking a pair of sunglasses, and we're going to create ourselves a little neutral density filter, which is a way of darkening the image. So if I take these sunglasses and I hold them right over the camera lens, up close enough so that way it's not going to show up in the image, I can go with a shutter speed that's even slower than what I could originally. So you can see I can go all the way down to this shutter here, which is 1/10 of a second, to really slow things down. The other thing when you're going slow is that you want to make it so that you don't have the camera shake at all while you're taking the picture. So it might be a good idea to, if the camera has a timer, to slow it on down so that way you can prevent that camera from shaking while you take the image. I'm just going to try a shot without doing that. All right, go ahead and start swinging there. Swing as fast as you can. I'm just going to take a bunch of pictures here and we'll see what works best. All right, so if I open up one of these shots here, we'll probably need to go back to our photo settings here to be able to see which one looks the most interesting. You can see the background is all in crisp focus, but my daughter there is totally blurred out because of the fact that we've got that slow shutter speed going on. So again, if you're in a dark situation, you could, without using sunglasses to darken the image, take the image and it should work out just fine. This is just the middle of the day here, and even though it is in the shade, it's still a little bit too bright to do really slow shutter speeds. All right, so let's say we want to do a slow shutter speed picture where we're not using a person. We could be doing a motion blur picture with an object instead. So here I've got the camera set up in a real stable kind of way. I'm using that tripod again, but you could certainly just balance it up against something that's not moving. And then I'm going to be taking a picture while I'm pouring some coffee into this cup. So the coffee is going to be moving, the mug is going to be completely still. Let's take a few shots here. We can take a look and see how that looks. You'll see it doesn't really show a whole lot of movement, which is maybe why I'd want to go even slower. So if I can get this all the way down to 1/4 of a second, we're going to see a little bit more motion blur with this. So again, I'm going to start pouring. I filled up the mug there, and you can see we've got that movement of the coffee being poured into the mug showing up in an interesting way. I could take another picture here where instead I pour some creamer in. You can see how that cream looks as it's moving into the picture. So kind of set this up. Always love some half and half with my coffee. There we go. Do a couple pictures just like that. I'd probably crop these images in just a little bit. You can see the creamer swirling around inside the frame there. So that's another way to do a slow shutter speed. If you're indoors, you can have a little bit easier time of it. If we're using an application like ProCam, we can go even slower on our shutter speed. So clicking this little arrow on the bottom The normal camera mode or photo mode is right there, but you can go down to slow shutter. And what that's going to allow you to do is to go all the way down to even 30 seconds. So when we're doing light painting, for example, an app like this is going to be really useful. But let's say that I even do just 4 seconds. I'm going to take a picture where I've got the apple in one spot. I'll start the image and then I'll move the apple to another spot while the picture is being taken. The longer I let it sit in one area, the more it's going to show up. So here's a picture where we have an apple that's moved in the picture. Another option for you would be, what if we have this apple as like the only thing in the picture? And we can have that apple have hands that kind of come in at different angles towards it. Like there's 2 hands that want to have it. I'll take another picture like that. So I'm keeping one hand completely still for a little bit. And I'm going to bring another hand in on the other side. So it looks like there's 2 hands trying to reach for the same apple. Great, this is what a slow shutter speed can do. It can really do some interesting things using motion blur.